Welcome to the Adventure Studio. Today I'm making balloon crayons in a back-to-school setup. To make the crayon, you're first going to inflate 5 5-inch balloons to 4 pumps of air each, or to 4.5 inches in diameter. I'm going to inflate 2 of these at the same time, and then I'm going to tie them together in a pair by wrapping the nozzles around twice and tying them in a simple knot. Then I'm going to inflate a single 5-inch balloon to 4 pumps of air, and I'm going to tie this balloon to the nozzles of the pair by wrapping the nozzle around once and then tying it in a knot to one of the nozzles from the pair. This will create a trio. Now I'm going to make one more pair in the exact same way and then join the pair and the trio together, making sure all the nozzles touch in the center, and then twist one balloon from each of those around each other, locking it into a set of 5. This will create the base of our crayon. Now I'm going to flatten this against the table and tie an empty 260 modeling balloon to one of the nozzles of this set of 5. This will be how I join all the layers of the crayon together. Now you could always use fishing line or curling ribbon if you prefer. On top of this, I'm going to layer on a set of 5 that's all black balloons, making sure one of the black balloons sits between the gap of the 2 red balloons below it. Gently press down on the balloons, pull the 260 up through the center, and wrap it around one of the black balloons, and then go across the set and wrap it around another black balloon. Layer an all red set on top, making sure the balloons nestle right between the balloons below it. Pull the 260 up with gentle tension and wrap it around 2 balloons on opposite sides. This will make the crayon stand nice and straight. The next set of balloons has 1 black balloon and 4 red balloons. Now I want to orient this so that the black one faces out the front of the crayon, as this will start to make the label. The next set will have 2 black balloons and only 3 red balloons as I tie it on. And I want to make sure the 2 black balloons are centered over the top of the single black balloon below it. Add another set with a single black balloon, and this will round out the label section of the crayon. If you'd like to have some written directions to follow along while you make the crayon, I have a set of written plans available in the description box below. They include step-by-step instructions, full color illustrations, and a complete supply list. To make the point of the crayon, the balloons are slowly going to get smaller, so this set is inflated to 3 pumps of air using a hand pump, and then the final set of the crayon is actually made up of 6 balloons that are inflated to 2 pumps each. Tie those into pairs. Join the first 2 pairs together by overlapping the nozzles and twisting them around each other, and then grab that third pair and insert it in so all the nozzles touch, and then twist one balloon from that pair around one of the other balloons, and this will create the set of 6. Now you want to arrange these so it looks like a 5-petaled flower with 1 balloon in the center, and that center one will actually be the tip of our crayon. Set this on top and arrange 5 of the balloons so that they sit in between each of the balloons of the set below it, and 1 balloon is pointing up. Pull the 260 up and around that topmost balloon, wrap it around one of the side ones, and then pull it back down and tie it to one of the nozzles of the set below. Once you've got the double knot tied, this crayon is ready for our back to school setup. And the first layer of that design is this 5 by 7 foot banner that I'm going to hang on a pole with my black backdrop fabric. But you could always tape this directly to a wall. In front of that, I've set up my backdrop stand to about 7 feet wide and 7 feet tall and pre-assembled this pencil column, which, if you'd like to learn how to build it, I've got a set of plans linked in the description below. Next, I'm going to create a rainbow garland to stretch across the rest of the stand. It's going to be made up of quads in sets of 6. So I'm inflating 11-inch balloons anywhere between 6 and 10 inches in diameter, tying them into pairs, and then I'm going to take 2 of those pairs and join them so the nozzles touch and twist 1 balloon from each of them around each other, creating a quad. Now I'm going to make a couple quads in each of my colors, and then I'm also going to make a couple sets of 6 that include a 17-inch balloon. Now I'm going to inflate both of these at the same time, making sure the 17-inch balloon is on the trigger side, so that way once the 11-inch balloon is full, I can keep inflating the 17-inch balloon. I'm going to tie these 2 together into a pair and then join that with 2 other 11-inch pairs. Slip all the pairs together so that the nozzles touch, and then twist the balloons around each other so they don't come undone. Make a couple of these in all the colors, and then I finish my inflation by slowly merging one color into the next in a couple of quads. That way it looks like my garland is blending from one color into the next. Starting on the left-hand side of my stand, I'm going to slip my first red quad around the stand so that the nozzles of that quad touch the pole. Then take the 2 balloons with the pole in between them and twist them around each other, flattening the quad so it sits against the floor. On top of that, I'm going to slip one of my sets of 6 around the pole and then twist 2 balloons around it, locking it in place. Gently press down on this cluster so it sits right against the quad below it so you don't get any major gaps in the garland. I followed this up with another cluster of 6 and then a quad before I started merging into my next color, which is yellow. Starting with the quad that has 3 red balloons and 1 yellow balloon, I'm going to attach it to the pole and then orient this quad so that the yellow balloon faces towards the inside of the design. I followed that up with my half red, half yellow quad and oriented this one so there's a little bit more yellow facing out the front of the design. Finally, I added the mostly yellow quad on top of that, making sure that most of the yellow is pointing out the front. This will give me a beautiful swirling effect from one color into the next. From here, I simply added my quads and then followed that up with the clusters of 6 before repeating this process for every color. As I turn the corner of the stand, I want to make sure the entire metal frame is covered in balloons, which means some of those balloons have to extend out the top edge so you don't see any of the pole. I also want to make sure whatever balloon goes in the very inside corner of the pole is a small one. That way we don't get tons of balloons bunched up in that small space. Thank you to our patrons and YouTube members. Your support makes builds like this possible. And if you'd like to get early sneak peeks at projects, behind the scenes glimpses, or ask me direct questions, you can do that as a patron or a YouTube member. Join today by clicking the link in the description box below. The final few quads above the pencil I made a little bit smaller so it looks like they'll slowly taper down and come out of the pencil. The final 2 quads are made of 5-inch balloons I inflated to 4 pumps each and arranged them so they sit right on top of the pencil. I inflated more of these tiny quads and I'm going to attach them with rubber bands to the garland. Slip the rubber band over one of the balloons in the tiny quad and then over one of the balloons in the garland, making sure the rubber band is against the nozzle of that balloon so it's hidden from sight. Then you can rotate around the tiny balloons until they sit exactly how you want. This is a great way to fill in any gaps there might be in the garland and add a bit more texture. And now your backdrop is ready for photos. You can pick up the crayons and hold them as props or arrange them in the backdrop to add even more fun to your photo op. If you'd like to learn how to make the pencil, you can watch that video here. And until the next time, remember, stay creative, everybody!